talks about doing something like this, when you're talking about speaking for yourself, you can think about a lot of things. But trying to understand and speak for Sam, it's been a journey trying to understand exactly what Sam might want to say this evening. But it's a privilege for me to be here tonight for the induction of Sam Leonard in the Messiah College's Hall of Honor and to speak on behalf of Sam. And so in the spirit of Sam and the way he does things, he is grateful to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and thank you. Good night. On a more serious note, my aim tonight is to share with you a little bit about Sam. And Sam, to share with you a little bit about your impact on us as athletes and the athletic department at Messiah College. Let's talk a little bit about Sam. For those who don't know Sam, he grew up in Ohio. Now there's a lot of people here who've been or from Ohio, so I got to be careful. But part of growing up in Ohio, you have a certain DNA. But Sam was very involved in athletics even back in high school. He attended most of the baseball games. He attended the basketball games, traveling with the parents of the different players. Sam was at the home games for basketball. And Sam also had a good relationship with the basketball coach at the high school. And during his tenure there, they won the state championship a few times. And I remember Sam telling me that his mother was gracious enough to find a way for Sam to have transportation up to Columbus, Ohio, so he could be part of that experience in high school. As Jack was talking about, Sam loves the Cincinnati Reds. And Sam and I were having lunch a couple weeks ago, and he reminded me that actually Frank Robinson, and there might be people in this room who don't know who Frank Robinson is, but he played baseball, started with the Cincinnati Reds, and then went to Baltimore, and I think ended up in Cleveland. But whether it's Frank Robinson or Joe Morgan or Johnny Bench or even Chris Heisey today, Sam has a love, a deep affection for the Cincinnati Reds. One of the other issues with being from Ohio is part of your DNA is you like Buckeyes. Okay, and for some reason Sam loves Ohio State Buckeyes. He has been a little bit depressed lately because of the last two football games Ohio State played, but don't worry, Sam, they'll have a better year next year, okay? One of the things that I've learned over the last couple of years with my involvement with Sam is that Sam has stories that it catches your attention. After the basketball season of last year, I called Sam about 3 weeks after the season, and I said, Sam, what are you doing on Saturday? And Sam goes, nothing. I said, well, I'd like to come up and take you to lunch. And most people would say, boy, that would be great, that would be... He goes, why? Why do you want to take me to lunch? I said, Sam, I just want to take you to lunch so we can connect and everything else. But through that experience, I learned a lot about Sam that I didn't know before. Number one, we went to Lone Star, which is down the street from here. And Sam loves peanuts. He loves peanuts. Did I tell you that he really loves peanuts? He just kept eating peanuts and peanuts. Then I also found out he loves steak. And he kept eating, he ordered the biggest steak that he could find. He had a baked potato, he had vegetables, and he finished, his plate was cleaner before the food was put on it, after Sam was done. And then he had dessert, a double brownie sundae with ice cream on it. And he finished that up. Did I tell you he loves peanuts? So we're leaving, and he saw this big barrel of peanuts at Lone Star. He starts pouring them into his little yellow thing that he has on his walker. And I'm expecting him to tell me that, hey Bob, can we take this barrel home with us? But we got out of there and we had a good time. As Jack said at Messiah, Sam ran the scoreboard for baseball, soccer, basketball, softball, field hockey, wrestling, and volleyball. I asked Sam if he had a favorite sport, He said no. He said, I like them all. So I framed the question a little bit differently. I said, Sam, do you have a favorite sport, like men's basketball, as your favorite sport? He didn't bite. He still didn't have a favorite. One of the stories that Sam told me was he used to go to the baseball games and he got tired of not knowing what the score was at the games. So he bought a couple scoreboards that are at the baseball field today because of that reason. Even today, Sam knows about the happenings of the different teams of Messiah, whether it's the men's or the women's soccer team, to wrestling or the different teams being played by the baseball team. Sam is current, and he has forced me to become current because he always asks me. You can find Sam in attendance at the different games across the campuses. As some of you know, Sam can be found at the most of the women's basketball games, yet he normally doesn't stay for the men's game. And Rick, I wanted you to be clear about something here. It's not because Sam doesn't want to watch the men play. It's just the game goes beyond his bedtime, and that's why he goes home. At this point, I would like to introduce Mike Shaker to tell a little bit of a story about it. And listen, I know there's, I feel Jack right now. But Jack realized, for 4 years, Coach told me to sit down and shut up. And now I get to tell him when it's time to sit down and be quiet.
For those of you who have been to Messiah, you know we have Brubaker Auditorium. And when Brubaker, in its first year, we played Eisenhower College in the initial game. But a little later in the year, we had Gettysburg in, with about 1,300 people in attendance. The place was packed full. In that particular game, it came down to the final minute of play. 63 all. We went down and scored, got fouled, made a free throw. We are up a point. They bring the ball up. They go inside to this 6'7" kid from Gettysburg who goes up for a shot, and the place is wild. This is before there were lights in the backboards, and you couldn't hear anything above that din. The shot goes up. It rolls off. I hear the buzzer. A guy goes up and tips, and the ball goes in. The place is chaotic as Gettysburg celebrates this championship, and the officials run to midcourt. People are running, and I turned and ran to Sam. And I said, Sam, did you see that shot? Yes, he said. I said, the second was a tip. A tip is not a shot. We get out there, he calls the coach from Gettysburg, from Messiah, we go to midcourt. And he says, listen, neither of us could hear the buzzer. We will go to the official person to find out whether or not the buzzer went or not. And they went, and they says, that will be the timer. So now all four of us walk to Sam. Sam has a twinkle in his eye. And the official says, Mr. Timer, on that last shot, Sam says, the shot was good, but the tip came after the buzzer. And the Messiah crowd went crazy. Thank you, Sam, for that great victory.
Thank you, Coach. At Messiah College, Sam, as Jack alluded, was known as Sam the Mailman. If you had taken a survey in the mid-70s or even mid-80s, I would assume, and asked people what Sam's last name was, most of us wouldn't have known the answer. But we all knew him as Sam the Mailman. You remember a life, for those of the younger years here, back when we went to school, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers, email, Twitter, Facebook, Apple, and we didn't have ATMs. So when I think about Sam, there's four things I think about quickly. Number one, Sam was the conduit between the outside world and our world at Messiah. The only way we communicated was really at home was through the mail, and every once in a while a $5 bill would come in the mail, and that $5, believe it or not, would last us a month. Or if you're lucky, you got some homemade cookies. But when I saw Sam, I always saw the person who connected me to the outside world in that regard. Sam also brought continuity to Messiah College and to athletics. And what I mean by that is when you come to school and you're dealing with the separation of leaving what you knew behind and all your suppositions and things of life are being challenged, Sam represented continuity. He was always there, whether it was at practice, whether it was in a game, he always provided a level of consistency and continuity. As a fan, Sam knew everybody involved in athletics. He was able, and still does, connect the generations together through the linking of people Sam knows in each era. As an athlete at Messiah, to be acknowledged by Sam the next day after a game brought a smile and a great feeling of accomplishment. And finally, Sam brought perspective. Not as a result of feeling sorry for Sam, yet Sam allowed us to realize there were more important things in life besides a term paper, a quiz, or a test. And even today, these lessons are being learned and applied. Sam, we would like to thank you for your years of dedication and service to athletics at Messiah College. Your legacy will carry the spirit of competition and the search for excellence in years and decades to come. We are grateful for the way you impacted our lives, and we are a better people to have known you. Thank you also on a personal note for being my friend. I'd like to finish with reading of Ecclesiastes 9:11. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, or does food come to the wise, or wealth to the brilliant, or favor to the learned. But time and change happen to them all. From Sam's heart to you, thank you for your support in allowing him to walk this path with you. And Sam, congratulations and welcome to Messiah College, HallofHonor. Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, Jack and Steve, for all your hard work, and the Messiah Athletic Department. It's an honor. I was completely shocked and overwhelmed when Jack called, and I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you to the Hall of Honor Committee for choosing me and selecting me for this great honor. It's amazing to be up here. I want to thank Jerry Chaplin, who I don't believe is here tonight, but was my old AD. He loved Messiah softball, believed in us, and really went to bat for us, no pun intended, but was just an awesome man and really represented us well. And I want to thank Coach Amy over there, and I have another coach here, Coach Trapp. Where is she? I want to thank those two ladies for really guiding me, and they're a big part of why I'm up here tonight. So, you know, when you get an award like this, it's hard to be the one who's up here, because this award, these accomplishments are representing so many people and their time and their effort in who I am as a person and who I was as an athlete. And you know, it's like so many building blocks that made me who I was and who I am today. So it's hard to even begin to put all those pieces together and thank all those people. It's like that saying, you know, it takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a village to build a pitcher, and to build a great athlete, and to become an adult, and to run your family of your own. And there are so many people that I'm thankful for their time and effort in helping me become the person that I am and the pitcher that I was. I want to start just by thanking my family. Softball was a family thing in our house. We we were all athletes and we traveled all over. My sister and I were both softball pitchers, and it was a family affair. And I just want to thank my dad tonight. My dad put hours and hours of time in, and right at the height of my career, or right when I started to actually realize that I could be something, my dad came down with, or was diagnosed with MS, which really affects your joints and your vision. And can I tell you, that man continued to go out in the backyard and catch every curveball and every drop ball. And you can imagine what it felt like if you couldn't see the drop ball and where it went. And that man was out in the backyard with me every single day. And really, the thing that I remember so much about my dad is my dad helped me become a mental player. Like Jen was talking about, being tough out there and having confidence. And that's something that's taught. That's something that you learn by watching somebody. And I've spent hours and hours sitting and watching baseball games with my dad. What do you think they're going to do here, Dad? And what do you think they're going to throw? And going over scenarios. And my dad taught me how to be mentally tough. And at the time, you benefit directly right on the ball field. But that's something that goes on into life, into your job, into your family experiences, into different trials that you go through as you get older. So I'm just super thankful for him and who he taught me to be as a mental player. I didn't have as much physical talent as a lot of people around me, but I learned to be mentally tough. And my dad, I was not fast. I was never, in fact, Coach stopped letting me hit and run the bases, and I'm still kind of upset about it, but I was not fast. But in high school, my dad used to always say, you are not fast, but you're smart. So you can steal the bases if you're smart. And so he really coached me on how to be a smart ball player. And that really goes into every sport. You need to be smart and a mental player. My dad built backstops in the back of our yard. My husband didn't even know this. We were just talking about this over Christmas. My dad built he hung from the roof of our basement a carpet that came down, and my sister and I went down every single night and threw pitch after pitch after pitch, and if we didn't, he would say, well, what do you think that girl from Warsaw's doing tonight? All right, Dad, fine. As a teenager, you roll your eyes and you go down, but that's the reason that I was able to really play at the level that I was. So just want to thank my father for that. And softball was our language. It was how my dad taught me how to do life. It was how he taught me how to deal with problems. And it was how he taught me how to deal with stress. And it was our arena, it was our platform. And it was such a neat way to relate to him. And my mom is a trooper. We went all over creation, and she was, the softball snacks and the travel teams, the 4 games in one day. My mom drove us to all those games and was supporting us and tried to catch me a couple times, but that didn't go so well. So, but super thankful for her. My sister, who's a strong competitor, my sister was a lefty, 6'2", could throw the ball and really didn't have to practice. So that was a hard sister to have, but we were side by side all the time pushing each other, and she ended up to go on to play basketball and a little bit of softball. And just a really quick story about my little brother, who's now my big brother. He was here at Messiah. Chris Regan played 4 years for Messiah baseball, and some of you know him now, big kid. At 9 years old, my brother came to me one day and said, Jess, I want to catch you. My dad wasn't home, he was traveling or doing something, and I needed to throw because we were on a regimen and we had to get down our 400 pitches or whatever it was. And my brother wanted to catch me, and I'm like, Chris, he was 9, and I was probably 15 at the time. And I'm like, you're not ready. And he had my dad's mask. It didn't even fit on his head. It was falling all over the place. No, I can do it, Jess. I can do it. Let me do this. So we go out to the backstop, and I throw the first pitch, and it knocks him flat on his back. The poor kid, he pops up. My mom's looking out the window like, oh, this is going to be bad. But he pops up, and he was determined. But it was a family affair for us, and I'm super thankful for the support that I received. And my mom was the one, when we were looking at all the schools, I wanted to go D1, I wanted to go to a big place. My mom was the one that said, well, what do you think about Messiah? I'm like, Messiah? Where's Messiah? I don't even know. And it's neat now because you see over the years how Messiah is on the map now. Nobody says, where's Messiah? Now people know, and a lot of that has to do with the athletics. The athletics has put Messiah on the map. We didn't bring home a national championship when I played, but I remember saying, people are going to know where Messiah is now. We made it to the very end, and people are going to know. So it's neat to be part of that history and that legacy. I want to take a quick moment to thank Coach Trapp. She was my coach when I was a freshman. She was the one who kicked me in the butt when I had a couple pouting sessions because when you move up a level to college, you get hit around a little bit. And I still remember the day I was crying on the bus because I didn't do so well, and she said, "Stop crying, stop it. You're a softball player, stop doing that." And my dad, as soon as she was done giving me the lecture, my dad was like, she's right. You suck it up and you get out there. So I had some tough coaches that really kicked me in the pants and allowed me to succeed. So I want to thank them. And Coach Amy, who stuck with me for the other 3 years, we were reminiscing. She was just down visiting me in Panama and reminiscing about some fun times and how Meredith Westman at the time, and I interviewed her, and she said, "Don't you remember you had really hard questions for me?" And I was so nervous, and that was because we wanted to win. And we were looking for a coach who wanted to win, and Coach Amy was that coach for us, and really led us to some neat things. And I had some amazing ball players, as you know, Jen Wanger, Tuma, who was inducted last year, the year before. Just amazing ball players that I played with, and just had a wonderful experience. And when you throw a no-hitter through a couple, I think, in college, who gets the credit? The pitcher. But you forget about the diving catches that your center fielder or your right fielder or that your second baseman made for you. And they're your linemen. They're the people who don't get the credit. But softball is just really, truly a team sport. And I'm so thankful for that. I had an amazing defense behind me. So just want to wrap it up and say thank you to my amazing husband who's right over here. Met him at Messiah. He, at the very first freshman orientation, and was at all my softball games that you can imagine, knows a lot of you as he sat in the stands with Mr. Chambers and a lot of the dads, knows all the parents, and he was my biggest fan. I just want to thank him for his support, and for my beautiful children who are here with me. It's an honor. I gave them the option, do you want to come tonight or do you want to stay and play with your friends? And they wanted to come, so that's a really sweet honor for me. And this feels like a lifetime ago for me. This softball, I don't play softball anymore, and it kills my husband that I don't play anymore. Why don't you play? Why don't you play? But I don't play anymore. But so many of the things that you learn when you play softball, or when you play soccer, or when volleyball, basketball, and you play at this level, so many of those things translate later on into life. And that's what's so special about Messiah, is Messiah ministers and works on the whole person. It's not just about coming to play softball. It's not just about coming to, get your pre-med degree or whatever it is. Messiah ministers to the whole person. And when I came, I felt like a top athlete, but I felt like my academics and what I became was super important. And I also felt spiritually that developing and learning to follow hard after Jesus and making him my number one, that was also ministered to. And this school is a special place. And I'm honored to be up here tonight. I'm honored to be with these other athletes that are going to come up here this evening. And I just want to thank everybody for being here and for so many of your support. So thank you.
I want to thank all those that are responsible for awarding me this great honor in the committee. And I want to thank those that set up this great event. It is very, very nice. I want to give my congratulations to all those former inductees, and to Sam, and to Jess, and to Hayden. That Hayden guy, I had a lot of conferences with his wife. In my office. Glad things worked out for you, Michelle. I also want to thank Kim Phipps, Chris, happy birthday, and Jack Cole for their commitment to Messiah College, for their commitment to Messiah Athletics, and for their commitment to me. It means a lot. I have a lot of people to thank, First, my right-hand women, in other words, known as my assistant coaches. And over the 39 years, I've had quite a few, and several of them are here tonight. Brooke Good, Kathy Sassaman, Bonnie Kirk, and even Karen Grove are here. I also want to thank all the young women that played for me over the years, and also their families. Messiah Field Hockey was such a family thing, and to have the families at every game and the way they supported us was just wonderful. And I hope you ladies know that you are in large part responsible for me being up here, because without you, the coaches would be nowhere. And it is impossible to run a quality, and any coach will say this, a quality program without the dedication and support of our trainers. Wendy, she's also a great cook. And also of our grounds crew, and also the athletic support staff with Casey and with Steve. Thank you so much. You just do so much for the program. My journey to this point is probably a lot different than any other coach or player that will ever stand up here. I never coached. I never played the sport that I coached, not on an athletic team. So how am I here? Well, it started in 1972. I went to a Bible study, and they asked me to introduce myself, and I told them who I was. I graduated from Westchester. I was a health and physical education major. Well, at the end of the Bible study, a lady approached me, and she was the wife of the athletic director at that time, Bob Barr at Messiah. She said they want to have someone who could teach 1 or 2 classes. Would I be interested? And I thought, yes. I gave her my information, and then went home and had to persuade George that it would be a good thing for me to do this. So they called me. I went in for the interview. I think, Mike, you might have even been on that interview. And I got the job. And one of the courses that I had to teach was field hockey. Well, I felt really very comfortable with that because at Westchester, being so close to the main line, field hockey was a big thing. And my teacher was none other than Bonnie Grove, who was the USA field hockey coach. She started the Futures program, and she was really the guru of field hockey. So I learned a lot about field hockey. So I felt very comfortable teaching that class. So after teaching the class a couple times, the head field hockey coach approached me, and she was coaching 35 young ladies by herself. And she said, would you please help and come be my assistant coach? Well, then I had to go home and tell George, this would be a good thing for me. And I accepted. And you know, I really didn't want to coach. I wanted to teach, but I really didn't want to coach. All that stuff after school and everything, didn't want to do that. But something happened during that time. I fell in love with those young ladies. I was so struck by their spiritual maturity, their love for each other, their love for their game, and their love for me. I was hooked. But at the end of the semester, I was called into the office, and I had no idea why. And they informed me that Gwen, who was the head field hockey coach, was leaving Messiah. Would you like to be the field hockey coach? Have you ever? Well, let me tell you, before this, the qualifications for being the head women's coach at that time in 1972, first you had to have a pulse, which I did. I had to be a female, and I had to be a Christian. So, have you ever had the Lord just kind of push you to do something, and you know, you just jumped up, or you just said something, it just came out, and I said, yes! But then I had to go home and persuade George that this would be a good thing for me. So I accepted, and that started my time of study, reading books, going to clinics, doing everything that I possibly could do to keep up with the athletes that I was supposed to be coaching. So, all this time, I really fell in love with the game of field hockey. Now you got to remember, when I first started coaching in 1972, when I was the JV coach, the game was played with a wooden stick that had a toe about this big and grass about this long. And the officials had a whistle stuck in their throat and whistled every second, and nobody on the sidelines knew what was going on. And it emerged into a game that's played with a composite stick with a very small toe, very maneuverable, played on artificial turf, which I love, and it's a very fast game. The rules are relaxed, the officials don't blow their whistle as much, but the people on the sidelines still don't know what's going on out there. My wonderful husband, my daughter Cindy, my daughter Stacy, my son Brad, and after a while my grandson Elia logged many, many hours coming to support the team and support me. And I can remember so many times they were bundled up in the middle of November at the Final Four held in Massachusetts. Why they would have a Final Four in Massachusetts, I'll never know, but it was even before Under Armour, so they were freezing. So after 40 years, or actually it was about 37 years, and these women that I coached were just so special to me. I was having such a great time. When my husband mentioned the R word, I said, oh, don't even say that, that's a dirty word. I don't know, I retire? I don't know. Well, when am I supposed to retire? And I just said, Lord, you have to tell me when it's time to retire, because I won't know. I don't know how you're going to do it, but it's up to you. Well, then it was, I don't know if it was the beginning or the end of a practice. My assistant coach, Brooke, came up to me and said, Coachy, I think I'm ready to have a program of my own. I'm going to put my application in to a couple places. I knew right then. I said, stay with me for 2 more years and I'll retire. And it was as clear as it was that I was supposed to take the job. It was that clear at that moment that it was time for me to retire. I said, Brooke, we'll throw your hat in the ring. The kids love you. You have so much experience and you are such a good coach. You know, I really feel that you will get the job. And she did. So, again, the Lord just has had his hand on my whole career here. It's probably been harder on my family that I had to say I'm retiring, because one thing you got to realize, when I became the head coach, I don't think Cindy was even walking. Elia, your mommy and Uncle Brad weren't even born yet. Look at that. So it was hard. They've had Messiah field hockey their entire lives. And now I know that the field hockey team, the athletic department, and Messiah College are in really great hands. And I have always believed in the mission of Messiah College. And I still do believe in the mission of Messiah College and the way the athletics department fits into that mission. And I thank you again for this honor.
Some really great speakers before me. They hardly ever use their notes, so I'm going to be depending on this a lot so I don't stray and take up over my allotted time, Jack. And I think I now know why I got 17 emails about the time that I was supposed to be up here. Where's Coach that spoke earlier? Where is he? Yeah. Think you're responsible? Yeah. 40 minutes last year, I think? Yeah.
45.
Yeah, 45. All right. I'll try to keep it at least under 30. consistent speaking. I am a 7th grade math teacher, so I speak to people a lot. Well, most people consider 7th graders people, at least. To help me battle the nerves a bit, I reminded myself that talking for 5 minutes in front of adults couldn't possibly be as hard as keeping the attention of 11-year-olds for 80 minutes. But then I was kind of bummed out because I realized that my talent of belting out boy band songs wouldn't be as appreciated here. It really is an honor to be here tonight. I'd like to thank the Messiah College Selection Committee for putting together such a beautiful event. I also want to congratulate my fellow inductees. Each of you have had your own special impact on Messiah Athletics, and I feel privileged to be here alongside of all of you. Thank you. This is actually going to be ad-lib because I didn't expect the great Dave Brandt from Big Navy to come up here, but shame on me because he is a Falcon through and through, and so I should have had something prepared for him. But I just want to thank you for the impact that you've had on my life and on so many other young men's life, and your impact continues to this day, and I really appreciate it. And then to Shag, I figured you were here. You didn't have far to drive. For taking over the program that Dave had a big part in building, a program that has meant so much to me. You've done an amazing job maintaining such a high level of excellence while also making your own by adding in your own twists related to your personality. It is so great to see the program continue to have an unspeakable impact on so many young men. I'm especially grateful for the impact that you and other coaches, Aaron, have had on my brother Sam, who's now part of the coaching staff. So thank you. My soccer brothers, my teammates. This one goes out to you. It was interesting when I asked my mom about kind of her thoughts on what I should say tonight. Everything she said actually revolved around you guys. She loves to tell me one story about how within the first week of me being up at school, she said that I called home all excited, super excited. I said, "Mom, I have 9 new best friends." And that happened like that. It was amazing. And some of it to do with the program that was built, but a lot to do with an amazing class that I came in with. And each of you, in your own way, has added to my life, and each of you have directed me, pointed me to Christ in your own way, and I still view you as 9 best friends, my classmates, and then all the other teammates that I played with additionally. Thank you. Mom and Dad, this is where I start to get a little choked up, so that's why I wrote things down. As I try to keep up with my 2 children, I do not know how you raised 7 of us so beautifully and with such love. Somehow you were able to support all of us in the things we loved. For me, it was soccer. Throughout my soccer career, I can't remember a single game that you missed. How did you do it? No, really. I actually want to know. Actually, I kind of do know how you do it. You did it, and it was obvious. You did it by tapping into the unending, never-stopping love of our Father God, who gives abundantly to all who ask. And you asked. I saw it. Thank you, yes, for supporting me with soccer. I wouldn't be up here without it. But even more so, thank you so much for modeling how to depend on the Lord and His unending supply of love. I love you so much. And now for my lovely wife. I didn't realize I'd have to thank Jan for the fact that she is my wife, so thank you, Jan. Who I started dating during my sophomore soccer season, arguably my best season as a Messiah Falcon. I found that the later I stayed out on a game night with Michelle, the better I played the next day. And I think, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, my 4 classmates that are here actually experienced the exact same thing during the exact same season, which ended up being our first national championship. Raise your hand if you're married to the woman that you were with that season. So, as much as everybody wants to give the credit to Coach Brandt, I have to look to the women in our lives. Let me get back on track. So, anyway, must have been love. There we go. That's where I needed to jump in. That brings me to another paradox. As often as Michelle didn't see eye to eye with Coach Brandt about how I should spend my time at Messiah, Michelle seems to exemplify the Messiah Soccer core values than any other person I know. And as much as she might not appreciate the comparison, she gets the very best out of me in everyday life, just like Coach Brandt got the very best out of me on the soccer field. Michelle, you're so strong, and your faith and love for Christ is so beautiful. I'm a better man because of you, and I love you with all my heart. Finally, I want to take the chance to thank the Messiah Soccer program for its unspeakable impact on my life. It has really been a blessing to reflect about this impact over the past couple of weeks as I prepared for this 25 to 30 minute speech. He's talking even in here. Joe. Okay. Anyway, I'm already doing way better, these guys can attest to this, than I did on my senior banquet speech, in which I squeaked out 10 barely understandable words, mixed sobs and convulsions in approximately 30 minutes. I knew they would call me on this. I was going to say 30, but I knew they'd be all over that. Yeah, it was longer than that. But I think they have a rule now that was put in place because of that speech. So we're in good company there, Coach. Anyway, I hope I don't get my brother Sam in trouble here, but he smuggled me this top secret binder here. We didn't have this when the program was kind of in its infancy, when we were just figuring out what Messiah Soccer was in Dave's early years and back in the early years. But this is all the core values, all summed up, all packaged in here. When Sam gave it to me, I felt like I was holding pure gold in my hand. And I got a chance, as I had prepared for this, to go back through and look through it. I kind of thought, well, it'd be nice to see what, to check off, go through the checklist and say, oh, I did that, yep, oh, got that under control, and I've achieved that, cool, and just kind of reminisce, but it really was a challenge to me, as opposed to just a checklist. And so the more I read, the more I actually was challenged to bring my current life up to the Messiah men's soccer standard. Then it hit me. That's the beauty of the whole thing. How high the standard is. Too high, actually. Unachievable, even. So how has the program had so much success with such an impossible task in front of them? I believe it's because everyone in the program realizes that the standard can't be reached alone. It takes a team. It takes building real relationships that support and encourage and challenge. And most importantly, it takes a dependence on the God of the universe for whom nothing is impossible. These two principles of fellowship and dependence on God are summed up in two well-known phrases at Messiah. Fellowship in the team verse, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And the dependence on God in Messiah College's tagline, Christ preeminent. And then I like to add my own, not I, but Christ. I'm being honored tonight, and it's greatly and humbly appreciated, but for me, the night is more about a chance to refocus on what is really important, others and Christ. So what happens next? What does tomorrow look like? I'm going to start by printing out all the Messiah core values and plastering my walls with them. They will serve as a daily reminder to seek out the fellowship of others and to walk in daily dependence on the Lord of grace, hope, and love who lives through me, having already met the standard. I'll finish with a favorite verse, Ephesians 6:10 from the Amplified Version. In conclusion, be strong in the Lord. Be empowered through your union with Him. Draw your strength from Him, that strength which His boundless might provides. Thank you so much.